Hey guys, it's Tara Marie. I'm here at the Hangar Studios. We're about to do another pre-record of my podcast. So this week we're doing an Ask Tara Marie edition of the show. I'm talking to a listener who emailed me asking for help. She's been through a lot of trauma in the last 5 years, and she wants my help to regain her health and get her life back on track, cut out all the self-sabotage and the self-destructive behavioral patterns, and create the life she really wants. So stick around for this advice. I'm Tara Marie, and I'm a fitness expert, personal trainer, and motivational strategist. Optimal health is achieved when you're balanced mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, and spiritually. My goal is to bring you information that will help you be the best version of you. Hey, well, hello and welcome to Tara Marie Live. I'm your host, Tara Marie Segundo, and I'm a fitness expert, a personal trainer, and a motivational strategist. And I'm coming to you today from the Hangar Studios in beautiful New York City. Tara Marie Live is about mental, emotional, physical, social, and spiritual health. And today we're doing one of my favorite kind of shows. I'm talking to a listener who emailed me asking for help. Now, my listener's story is one to which I think you will relate. In the last 5 years, she's experienced a lot of trauma. And like many of us do, when the pain became too much to endure, she went off on self-destruct. As humans, we have a huge capacity to be resilient, but I think everybody understands that sometimes too much all at once is just overwhelming, and we lose our ability to cope effectively. I know how this feels myself, and my goal is to help her to the best of my ability based on my own life experiences. So let's bring on our listener. Dakin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Dakin, how
Hi.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And you're calling, we should say you're calling from Florida.
Yes, I am. Tampa, Florida.
Sunny Florida. And I told you before we went on the air, all my relatives live down there.
Yes.
I'll actually be there next week. I will actually be there next week, so I hope you guys are getting some good weather down there because we're
it's
still
very
cold.
nice. It's very nice. Yeah.
Now-
It's not humid. It's very nice. Sorry.
Now, I wanted to read the letter that you wrote me, and and you wrote this actually a while ago, and I wanted to note one of the first things I noticed about this email, and I don't know if you're even aware of this, but you wrote it on December 31st. Of 2018 at 12:56 a.m. Eastern Time, which means just the night before New Year's Eve, you wrote this. Did you remember doing that?
I didn't even realize that. No, I don't. That's crazy.
Because I saved the original email, and it is dated December 31st at 12:56 a.m. So you had a late night. It was New Year's Eve. It was the first 56 minutes of New Year's Eve going into, and then the next night would have been, when you celebrated New Year's Eve. But this was a really heartbreaking letter, and I'm just going to read it because I think if I read it, people will get a good idea of where you were when you wrote this, and you may not even remember everything you said. Do you remember, by the way?
No, I don't. No.
So let me read this to you. So the subject of the email was help. That was the subject. Help. That was your subject. Now this is what your letter said. It said, "Dear Tara, last month my friend told me to listen to you. She said you remind her of me. She's always called me Dr. Dakin because I've always been into natural healing and I'm a fitness guru. I just want people to be happy and healthy. I've been in fitness for 20 years, but in the past 5 years, I've had nothing but trauma happen to me. I lost everyone, my mom, my dad, my grandma, 2 of my favorite cousins, my best friend, my cat, and I had to leave my hometown of Buffalo to come back to Florida 4 years ago. I've put on 30 plus pounds and I've given up on my dreams and myself. I'm embarrassed to teach yoga in my classes. I feel like a fraud. I was diagnosed with MS, which is multiple sclerosis, 19 years ago and chose to heal myself naturally. 5 years ago, I was told I have a tumor in my left temporal lobe and I refuse to accept it. I'm a strong and beautiful woman and I have so much talent, but I'm self-sabotaging. I know the rules and all the signs and all the patterns, but I ignore them. I'm a single mom and I'm heavier now than I ever was when I was pregnant with my kids. I need help because I want to heal myself and give back to others. I'm a unique and powerful person, but all I feel is invisible lately. My mom died 2 years ago suddenly of a brain aneurysm, and I went into shock and adrenal failure. I rallied back from that. I've been in counseling most of my adult life, but I never seemed to figure stuff out. They put me on an antidepressant, which I'm totally against, but I did it. And it got me through my mom's death, but I packed on the weight. I drink now, and when I drink, I eat with no inhibitions. I need help. I need help. I don't know where else to turn, so I'm trying you. There's so much more I could tell you that I've been through, which you would not believe, or perhaps you would. I'm a Cancer myself, born July 10th, because I'm July 3rd, and I'm 49 years old. I've been a single my entire adult life, and I raised my 2 kids alone. She has a son who's 25 and a daughter who's 16. I hope you read this. I'm a big crybaby, and as I write this, I am weeping. I want me back, but I fear I'm too far gone. My body is starting to fail because of the toxins I fed it. I'm in pain, and I am scared. I'm all my daughter has, and I have to stay healthy. I'm a school teacher now. I teach art. I used to teach PE. And at night, I teach yoga and spin and train a couple of women. So I feel like I'm so busy and overdone. I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be in health and wellness where my degree and passion are. I love to paint and interior decorate. I do this for my friends. I would love to get me back and move back to Buffalo and open a yoga/paint therapy studio to help others like me who are suffering. But to do that, I have to find me and get me back. I've only been listening to your podcast for 3 weeks, but what you say and the people you have on, I totally relate to. I'm not sure why I'm reaching out or what I want or need to happen, but maybe you could see clearer what I need or can help me. Thank you for your time. Do you remember writing that?
I do now, yes.
That
Yes.
that breaks my heart for you. That
Thank
breaks
you.
my. Can I tell you? Can I tell you what line kind of made me giggle a little bit?
What?
Where you said, "I don't know where else to turn, so I'm trying you." Do you know what I mean? Can I tell you something? This is hysterical. Everybody who emails me, they say that, Dick, and they're like, "Well, I've tried everything else, so I guess I'll try you." So I'm glad.
Like someone see me.
Yeah.
I really felt like you would connect. I mean, I was like, I've tried everyone, like not everyone, a few people I've reached out to, and when I heard you, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's just like me. I love how you talk. I like your spirit. So I was like, I gotta reach out to her. And never know. You never know.
Well, can I ask you a question? Now, do you listen only to the podcast? Were you a listener on Sirius XM?
I didn't know. I never.
Okay, good.
Didn't know how to use a podcast. I am still
okay.
kind of a dummy to it. So no.
The reason I ask is because there's a lot of listener confusion and a lot of people who email me letters like this. They were listeners then, and so I'm glad that you've caught on that I'm not there anymore. I'm glad that you enjoy. I'm glad that you enjoy the podcast, and we sure enjoy doing it. So I'm glad to have it, and we do have a lot in common. You're 49. I'm 53. I'm about to be 54. You're about to turn 50. So that's huge. That's wonderful for you. 50's great, by the way.
Okay, good.
50's great. 50 is great. I'm born July 3rd. You're born July 10th. I'm Sicilian. I think you're either Sicilian or Italian. Yeah. So I think we do have. I'm in fitness. You're in fitness. You know, and it's weird that my entire family, all my blood relatives, live probably 20 minutes from you.
And all my blood relatives live 20 minutes from you in New York. But.
That is so funny. Now let's start with this. First of all, I think you're fantastic. I look at this. Okay, so last night when I was preparing for this interview, because and I say this at the top of all of these, because usually when people ask my advice, it's fitness advice. My degree is in exercise physiology. So when people, you know this from being a trainer, when you're a trainer, because I started really getting heavily into training. I moved to New York City when I was 28. And the purpose of that was to go to grad school because I got my master's degree in applied physiology. So that was the purpose of that. And that was really when I got serious about training people. Before that, I had been more of a group fitness instructor. And so, this, when you become a trainer and you really work closely with people and you're with these people 3-4 times a week, often in their house, you become a de facto psychologist, practically. Yeah. Like the stuff people tell me things and I think, oh my gosh, you don't have to tell me, like, it's none of my business. I don't need to, but so people will tell you things and you either over the years get real good at deciphering the message underneath what you're being told, and as it relates to the job you're doing, because a lot of people, for example, who are stuck physically, they're having trouble with excess weight. They're stuck in some area of their health or body. They're really stuck mentally, and you've got to figure that out in order to get to their body, right?
Yes.
So basically, the advice I'm going to give you today is kind of big sister advice. So it's just big sister advice, because I don't have a degree in psychology. I just have, my mother, God rest her soul, used to say that I have a degree from the School of Hard Knocks. So that's the best. So I've got that degree from the School of Hard Knocks. But also, I'm almost 54. By the time you get to be our age, you've been beaten around by life a little bit. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Yes. Can I just say something?
Yes.
At 28, I moved to Tampa at 28 and became operations manager for a health center. So I became the head to personal trainer and operations manager. So that's when my career really took off. I met this trainer, Ann Gilbert, and she was my mentor. And she's like, "You need to be our trainer. You need to be on our team." Yeah. And I thought I was still too heavy. And she's like, "No, you're ready." And that's when I started my career 28 years ago in wellness and fitness.
And you see, when you were 28, you moved to Tampa.
Yes.
When I was 28, I moved to New York. We have a lot of parallels.
That is weird.
Isn't that bizarre? So I think, but I read this letter, and I just want to say this straight off at the top. Right at the third paragraph of your letter, you say, "I feel like a fraud." I think you're a rock star. I mean, because what I did last night to prepare for this show, I said to myself, how can I best help this woman? And I kind of broke things down into categories, into sections. And I looked at your letter, and I just kind of, this is how I interpret your letter. So in the last 5 years, you have lost 6 important people in your life, including your 2 parents. Yes. Which, to lose a parent, because my mother died, when you lose a parent, it's a punch in the gut. You lost both of them. So you lost 6 important people. Yeah. You lost a beloved pet, which anybody who's ever loved a pet knows that a pet's almost like a kid in some respects. You were still, you have to figure it like this. When somebody dies, it takes about a year or more, right? To get past, to get kind of beyond that, because it takes that first year, the year of firsts, where we're kind of figuring everything out. What is our life without this person? And you kept getting dogpiled, one after the other.
The day that my mother passed, I went home to Buffalo to be with my family, because I didn't want to be alone. She passed on the day around Thanksgiving, 2 days. And my cat passed away while I was gone on the same year to date. I was just okay.
Horrible.
Pile it on. I'll figure it out,
Horrible.
Horrible.
It's horrible. Yeah. And my attitude is, the reason I'm calling you like a rock star, I mean, you're a survivor. I can't believe what you've been through, is look how well you're doing. I mean, I know you feel like a fraud, and I know that you feel like you're kind of not who you are right now, because as you indicated, you've gained weight. You don't even recognize your body. Forget recognize your life. You don't even recognize your own body.
No, I don't.
But see, somebody like me reading a letter like this, I think to myself, damn, I'm impressed with this person, because I can't believe she's still standing upright. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
So I want to let you talk for a little while. Talk to me now. You wrote this letter December 31st, 12:56 a.m. Talk to me now. Where are we now? Bring us up to speed.
I am a little better mentally. I kick myself back into my hardcore workouts when my body feels like it can do it. I started spinning again. I had to give a spin because I went into adrenal failure, and my natural doctor said, "Please pull off the spin. Nothing to stress your body out. Just do yoga." So I did that, and I stayed consistent with that. I've been spinning again. I've been training again, and I just lost another 2 people in my life that are very important also. But I think that my mental capacity can handle it. I mourned them. One just passed last week. So
who were these people, honey?
Oh, my lifelong friend, Bart Mazzara.
A friend.
Yeah, he was my very first boyfriend when we were younger, and he's like the king of Buffalo. Everyone loved him, and I just feel like I'm separate from my city, the people
Yeah.
I love, and I can't be there for their funerals. I mean, I was devastated for this week about that.
Mhm.
And then about a month ago, his best friend Rob passed away from a heart attack. So there's two big losses back
Mhm.
home, and I couldn't go back home to show my respects, which it angers me a little. I want to be
Yes.
there for everybody. Yeah. I'm still drinking though. I'm doing it less, and I'm trying to only do it on Saturdays. But there are certain times that I notice when I'm really sad or really upset, I'm like, I just want to drink, and it takes my anger away, so I'm not so angry. The anger is a real issue with me right now. Rage and anger.
Okay.
Um, where am I right now? I feel like I'm better. I feel like I'm better. I'm weaning myself off the antidepressant. I don't want to be on it. I'm doing everything. I go to counseling. I'm really trying hard. So I think I'm on my way back. I just got to get over that bump where I keep repeating these patterns. I keep saying, okay, I'm not going to have coffee, caffeine, or alcohol. And for like 6 days, I do it, and then I go, and then I fall off again. I've just this horrible sabotaging pattern I have. And I know I can do it because when I had the MS
Hmm.
19 years ago, I was paralyzed. They wanted me to take interferon, and I just prayed. I said, please bring me something
Okay.
else. If I can heal myself another way, I will. And I found a natural doctor. She came to me, and I went that route, and
Okay.
I cut off everything without even thinking about it. So I'm wondering why I can't cut things off that I know are going to kill me eventually if I don't. Because one, will kick in my MS, and two, I don't want the tumor in my brain to swell. It's inflammation, so
I
I
was gonna,
don't
yeah.
want to make that inflame.
I
So
was gonna ask you about that. The tumor in your left temporal lobe, it's benign, yes?
it is what they call not a geoblast, a glioma. Because
A glioma. Yeah.
and what happened was when my mother passed away. So I've had it in my brain
Hmm.
since they saw it in Buffalo when I moved about 8 years ago,
Okay.
and I've had it in my brain, and they were watching it for progression. Well, when my mother passed, and
Hmm.
I sunk into this horrible depression, and I just laid on the couch, and I didn't think I couldn't even get up.
Right.
Okay, they did my MRI, my yearly MRI, and it had grown an inch. So they were like, we have to remove it. I'm like, I'm not removing anything out of my body. You're not taking anything out of my body. And
Okay.
they're like, because they're like scaring me. I'm going to seizures.
Right.
They're like, we need to remove it. I said, no, you're not removing it.
Right. Well, their
So
fear,
then
hun-
I just,
so their fear was that if it starts to grow, it'll start pushing on portions of the brain, and that'll cause the headache and the seizures.
yes,
God forbid,
yes,
stroke. Different. Anything could happen.
yeah.
But you said
And
no.
my memory is all, sorry, I'm sorry.
But
My memory is really horrible. My memory is horrible.
okay. When was the last time? So it is benign. You say it's a glioma. When was the last
Yeah.
time you had it checked, and is it growing?
No, I had it checked about 2 months ago.
Okay.
Funny thing, about 2, 3 months ago, and my neurologist left my group. So now no one's called me back, and I've been trying to call back to see what are my results, but I don't know yet. So I'm trying to find out. But if it was an emergency, he would have called me, I think.
Okay.
So I think deep inside me that it's say the same. I know my body. I know my body. You know.
Okay. So,
So
and as regards your health, let's stick with your health. You said that you've gained over 30 pounds. Are we still there, or have you gained
yeah,
more or lost or?
I'm 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 at 33. I just
33
keep
pounds. Okay.
I just keep gaining.
Okay.
And so that's why I got off the antidepressant. The first time I took the antidepressant when I moved back here,
Okay.
um, I took it, and I gained quickly 15, 20 pounds. And I took myself off it then because my grandmother had passed, and my mom just said, my mom goes, go get on it just to get you through this. So I got on it. I stayed on it for almost a year. I gained weight really quickly. And then once I got through that, I stopped taking it. Then my mother passes. So I was like, so they put there, I was
Yeah.
in shock, and I just had to go back on because I was having panic attacks. I couldn't get on the airplane.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to do something. So I started taking it again to be responsible, so I could take care of my daughter
Hmm.
and not be a total mess. So now I feel like I'm coming out of it again.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know.
What
I'm there. I'm stuck, you know.
may I ask which antidepressant? Is it Paxil by chance?
You know, it's no, it's fluoxetine or something. I have to look. My memory's really bad. I have to be looking at the bottle to know what it is. But
Okay.
it's like, there was a Xanax. So what is it? What's the one that's?
Zoloft
Is it
starts with
Xanax?
a Z. Zoloft starts with a Z. That's the brand name. I've heard of people who take Paxil that they gain weight. I've been on Zoloft and I didn't gain an ounce. So I think certain ones tend to be
The first one was the one you said. The second
Zoloft.
one,
Okay.
yeah, the second one they put me on. They tried to put me on something that wouldn't make me gain weight, but it didn't
Okay.
work.
Okay.
So
But
yeah,
also to be fair to the antidepressant, you've gained weight, but you're also drinking and overeating. So to be
exactly.
entirely fair, right? So to be entirely fair, I did have this
Yeah.
question because you didn't mention it in your email. You said that 4 years ago you left your hometown of Buffalo and you moved back to Florida. Why did you do that?
Oh, I'm gonna start crying. Um, I moved to Buffalo, back to Buffalo, when my son graduated from high school.
Okay.
I think it was like 7 years ago. I'm bad with dates. And I wanted to open up a wellness center to help
Yes.
people naturally heal for MS or autoimmune diseases. And I had the business plan in tow. I had someone interested. I went back and worked for my health club, Terry's Workout Center in Buffalo, and then
Mhm.
um, and she took me right in her arms, got me full client base. I started training. My father, it was in Manhattan. He's like, something's not right. I think I want to move to Buffalo. I'm like, Dad, you
Okay.
want to move to Manhattan? He's like, yeah, I just feel really paranoid here. Well, it turns out my father had Lewy body, and he got diagnosed with Lewy body. And I said, Dad, come back to
Okay,
Buffalo. I'll take care
let
of
me
you.
clarify that for the
So,
list. Let me clarify that for the listeners. You mean
okay,
dementia.
yes,
Yes. Okay. So
yeah,
your daddy was forming. He was at the beginning of stages of dementia.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Sorry to
And
interrupt.
I moved him with me, or in the loft that I lived in. He lived in one below me. I lived above,
Okay.
and he regressed pretty quickly. I had to, make his food for him, and so I became so busy
Hmm.
and so unable. I didn't even open up the wellness center. I just personal training, took care of my dad, and
Right.
I was like, that's when my anxiety started. I was like overdone. I was going broke. And my dad was like, he flooded the apartment. He set it on fire. And finally, they said, your dad has to move. So my
Mm.
sister, who was in Manhattan, she goes, I'll take dad back, but you're going back to Florida to take your job back, to get your money. She wanted me
Okay.
to go back, take my teaching job back, and get my money right again because I was so poor, basically. So she took my father, put him in a nursing home. I came back to Florida. And I'm going to tell you, and this is the weirdest thing, but my son came to drive me back to Florida because my
Mm-hmm.
son was in Florida with my mom. And the minute came into Florida and put my foot out of the truck, I said, get me back to Buffalo. This wasn't a good decision. I want to go
Mm.
home. And
Mm-hmm.
I called my landlord, who's like my brother, and he calls me Penguin. He goes, Penguin, you've made the decision. You have to stay there. Give it a year. I'm like, if
Okay.
I give it a year, I'm going to stay here. I was freaking out. And that started my depression. I moved back here and I got really depressed.
May I
So,
ask a question? May I understand this correctly? So the reason you came from Buffalo, where you were happy, really happy, and felt
yes,
yourself, the reason you
yes.
came from Buffalo to Florida was for economic reasons because you knew you would have financial stability. In
Yeah, and a little guilt. I felt like, I gave up on my dad and, I felt guilty and I can't, how could I stay in Buffalo and not take care of you know what I mean? Like either I stay in Buffalo and don't take care of my dad or I go back to Florida to take my job. It was like a little guilt. I
okay,
always do things to please people. I do. And
okay.
I don't want people to dislike me. So I did it for guilt. I felt,
Is
not
there
only,
a reason? Because I know you're not thrilled to be down there, and can I say this? I totally get it because my whole family lives in Tampa. It's a beautiful
yeah,
place. It's a lovely place to visit.
yeah,
I just couldn't live there because it's not my thing. It's not where I can do what I need to do
yeah.
for me. So I understand you. So why have you stayed this many years?
Good
Eh,
question. I stayed, well, my son lived with my mother in the apartment next to me. I live with my daughter in the apartment across from them.
Okay.
When my mother passed, me and my mother talked about, she goes, I want you to go back to Buffalo. I go, okay. And she goes, I'll stay with Dante till he graduates from college. And then you go back with Gray and go back to Buffalo because you're just so unhappy here. I go, okay, Ma. And we were talking, and then maybe about a week later, she had the aneurysm, and I couldn't leave my son here. I had to move him into my 2-bedroom apartment with us.
Okay.
And it wasn't because of my son, but I just felt like I had to stay. So I decided to stay another year. And then I was going to move back last year, and my daughter asked me to stay so she could finish high school.
Okay. So the kids, yeah. So your kids your kids' lives were entrenched there, and you felt like you couldn't just uproot them. That's the answer?
Yeah, I didn't want to separate my daughter and son when my daughter had just lost her grandmother and my father. So I just felt like it wasn't right for either one of them, so I stayed.
Right. Yeah. Right. And that's a hard, and I think any parent would understand that. You can't just, because your daughter, I think you said your daughter's 16. She has 2 more years of high school.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I know the thing is if you're not happy, I mean, if you know that your heart and your life and everything that you need to do is in Buffalo, I mean, either you move now or you wait till your youngest is out of high school and then you move and you see where she ends up going to college. But I understand what you're saying. You literally feel like a fish out of water.
I do. I love the people in Florida. They're very good to me. But I just don't feel that connection is not home for me. Mm-hmm. And that, like go body, make things happen. You need your car fixed, Uncle Vinny. You just here it's like I'm lost. I feel like I'm just like me alone, and people don't really know you here. I can't explain it, but in Buffalo, I walk in somewhere and they're like, "Diggin, how are you?" Like they know me and they do anything for you. So it's not that Florida's been bad to me. It's been good to me and my children. It's just I feel like I belong in Buffalo.
I get that.
Yeah,
I do understand that because you know that. I mean, I feel the same way in Manhattan. Like when I go to the same deli and hey Tara, how are you? How's your you know what I mean? Whereas when I'm in Tampa, it's just a different life, and that's just because people drive everywhere, which I guess they do in Buffalo too. You end up your life is more spread out. You don't frequent the same places over and over. But I get what you're saying.
Well, Buffalo is like a small town. I used to ride my bike every day to the gym. It was like, it's smaller than New York. It's a big city, but it's smaller than New York, and it's more of a bound community. Parks are beautiful. It's just great. Like when I land, I go to Manhattan to see my sister all the time, and I go to Buffalo. So my vacations, I don't go traveling. I go to Buffalo or I go to New York. And when I land, it's something about landing in New York. I feel like solid, and I feel like I'm safe. And I said that to my mother one time, and she said, Dakin, do you know that New York's built on a rock? It's solid ground, and Tampa's built on sand, so it's a little softer. So it's a different. The people here absorb that energy differently. I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's home to you. Now, I want to hear more about your self-sabotage. So you drink alcohol, and when you drink, you eat without inhibition. And I totally understand that. I totally get that. What else do you do to sabotage yourself? Talk about that.
Inconsistency. I'll set a goal to run a race, or I'll set goals and I go 10 days in and then I just pull back and I don't. That's, to me, self-sabotaging. It's like I'm not loving myself enough to go through. I used to run races. I used to run a race once a month. And I just feel like it's just that's part of it. It's food. It's drinking. It's not being consistent with myself and my goals. And what else? I think that's it. Sometimes I just get away. I don't care. I give up. I'm tired. And I just lay on the couch, You know what?
I
think it's depression, probably.
Well, I thought of you because knowing that I was going to work with you, and then I saw an episode of Dr. Phil, and he said something that made me think of you, and I think that you're going to agree with this. He was talking to somebody who had lost a loved one, and he said, amongst the most stressful events in life is obviously one of the top ones is losing a loved one, which we all know that, any of us who have been through it. Higher than that, more stressful than that is losing a loved one suddenly, completely unexpectedly out of the blue with no warning. More stressful than that is losing a loved one suddenly, unexpectedly out of the blue to violence. Like if God forbid because I have a friend I went to college with, his father was murdered when he was a young boy, but the middle one, losing a loved one unexpectedly, like you lost your mother unexpectedly to a brain aneurysm, that is a shock. Like you said, you went into shock and adrenal failure. I mean, that is a traumatic event. You had no psychological buildup to that. You had no closure. You had nothing. I don't even know what the last words you said to your mother were. Do you remember?
I do. Oh, yeah. I went over the night before and I was so upset. I go, I got to get out of here, Mom. I hate it here. And she goes to me, she says something and I go, never mind. She goes, I never say the right thing to you. I go, yes, you do, Mom. I just, you do. And then she said, I'm at peace, Dake. And I go, you're at peace? You're really at peace, Mom? She just, I'm really at peace. I go, I didn't know that because you seem so unhappy sometimes. And she said, no, I'm at peace, honey. And and I go, okay, well, and then I gave her a hug and a kiss, and because we literally live 5 steps away from each other, the door.
Yeah.
And so the next day I was at work and my son called me. He's like, Mom, Grandma's bleeding in the brain. He's crying. I go, what? And he's like, Mom, get to St. Joe's. Grandma's bleeding in the brain. They need you to okay her surgery. So I don't even remember what happened. I don't know how I got there.
Yeah.
I got there. My poor son had to witness the aneurysm, I'm like, oi, I just don't even know. I just went into, listen, I'm MacGyver. I just figued it out. I said, I can do this. I can do this. I just kept taking my rescue remedy. I was like freaking out. And I had sat through 8 hours of surgery. They saved her.
Okay.
My sister flew in from Manhattan. We got to stay with her a couple of days. She was in occupational therapy. We had hope, and she had a second one, and to put her into a coma. And then she had a second. Well, her aneurysm, the same aneurysm, bled on the other side.
Okay.
Then she had a stroke, and then they came to us and said, "Listen, this is what you're looking at.
It's not good."
And my mother, in her will, didn't want to be on feeding tubes or wheelchair. She didn't want us to care for her,
Yeah.
And so we had to make the decision to let her go.
It's horrible.
So horrible.
It's horrible.
And my sister, she has a daughter back home. She couldn't stay very long, but she stayed as long as she could. I had to pack my mother's apartment up in 10 days. 10 days. And get rid of all her stuff. I was just on adrenal. I was adrenaline. I couldn't. And that's when me and my sister were just drinking. We were drinking and packing, and we're like, "Fuck!" Oh, sorry, I swore.
It's okay.
But we were like, "What do we do?" And it was just crazy. And my sister was like, "Throw it out. You're gonna be okay." I go, "I can't throw it out. It's Mom." She's like, "Throw it out." I'm like, "Okay," because she's the strong one. She's like Taurus. And
that's the worst though, packing up their stuff. Because when you feel like you're throwing out their stuff, you're like, this is all I have left. I'm throwing it out. I'm giving this to good. Like, this is all I have left. I don't have anything left.
Yes.
I
kept her desk and her beautiful antique desk and all her pictures, which was horrible to go through. Her pictures and sketchbooks and journals. I was like, oh yeah, it was horrible.
Now, you said that you've been getting, and you're still in professional counseling?
Yes, I go to them. But I get to a point where I'm like, I have anger issues. I have anger issues that stem from my childhood. And I go to these counselors like, listen, please help me get this anger on me. Find where it's stemming from, where it's rooting from. And they want to hear my stories because my stories are so interesting, I guess. So I have to tell them all things over and over again. And then they... the last one really just kind of ticked me off. I was like, I've been asking you for a year and a half to help me with my anger issues. And she's like, so I had to get rid of her. I went to another one. Now I'm at another one who's helping me just kind of be more logical about things. And she doesn't go into my past, which I like. She just helps me work towards the future and set how to speak to people. When I get angry, what to do with the anger. So that's what I'm working with someone now.
Well, as regards your anger issues, so when you said, because, the 5 stages of grief, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, the 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And it's not really like I don't know how familiar you are with these, but it's not like, well, you go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. You don't go from one to two, two to three, three to four, four to five, we're done. It's not, that isn't how grief works. Grief works, you go one to four, then two, then five, then three, then one. Then people are all over the place because we're human beings. We're not machines. But but when you first said that, when I read your email, it occurred to me, I said, aha, it sounds like you're stuck in the stage of depression. But now you're also mentioning anger. I thought you meant the anger as in I'm pissed off because I've lost 6 people and a cat, and I've moved out of the state I love, and look at my effing life, and I hate my body, and I thought that was what it was about. But now you're saying that a lot of your anger predates any of this trauma. Is that correct?
I've always had me and my sister, we basically were survivors. We always had to take care of ourselves when we were little. Our parents were hippies. My father was gay. My father divorced my mother at the age of 3, and he had a partner, Tom, and Tom and my father were together for 23 years. Okay. And then they split up, and 10 years later, Tom died. Now, Tom left us and never spoke to us again. So that's like losing a parent, disappearing for us. Tom was your father's partner, correct? So so he was in effect a stepfather. Yes, yes. And so that was the first death that affected me. But so that my mother was a single mom working 3 jobs. She was still a hippie, still trying to figure her life out. So me and my sister were these 2 rough and tumble kids in an Italian neighborhood. With our parents are hippies. We were scruffy. We were dirty. They didn't accept us in our neighborhood. And we got jumped a lot. We had to fight a lot. We had to just we taught ourselves to cook. We taught ourselves to wash our clothes. We learned about sex on the streets. Our parents didn't teach us that because they were horrible at it. Meaning they were kind of out there doing their own thing. So I think my anger comes from survival. I know when people tell me what to do, oh my gosh, I become another person sometimes. It's horrible. And then after my mom died, I was like, I'm really alone right now. I'm really alone. I have to protect my kids. Yeah. And that there's no one that's going to help me. So now I think my anger is to 1, survival, and 2, to protect me.
You know what I think you know what I think your anger is? It sounds like from your childhood you feel like you drew the short straw. Do you get my drift? You look around, you look around at your life and your sister's life, and you look around at everybody else's life, and you're like, what the hell? What the heck is this? It's almost like you're pissed at your parents because of the life they gave you.
Actually, I'm not mad at them because they were so unique. I'm mad because they didn't lead us as young kids into adulthood.
They didn't parent you. They didn't parent you.
No, they didn't parent us.
Yeah. What I'm saying is they might have been lovely people. They sound like lovely people. They must have been a good time at a party, but they didn't. It doesn't sound like you were parented.
No, my mother was a wreck after my father left her, and my father was a young gay male enjoying life. He was an artist. He was a phenomenal artist, and he just did his thing, him and Tom, and when he had time for us, he would see us.
And that pisses you off.
Yeah.
So why, when you talk to therapists, you had no trouble explaining that to me. I completely get it. You grew up basically with no parents. You parented yourself. You and your sister figured it out on your own. That pisses you off because you didn't have the advantages of having guidance. Your dad basically just kind of jumped ship because he felt like it because he decided he was gay. Not that I completely understand that, but you're probably thinking, Dad, you couldn't have figured this out before. You know what I mean? I know a lot of men who have gotten married, had children, and midstream they jump ship because they say, "Look, I'm sorry, I'm gay." But there's a repercussions to that. There are children left behind. There's a mother left behind to fend for herself. So it sounds like you have a lot of anger from that. But why do you have trouble discussing that with your therapist? Because you don't seem to have any trouble discussing it.
Well, I have expressed it to therapists before,
Okay.
and they just take note of it and glide over it. We never go back. I don't understand why they don't. I mean, I definitely have issues with men.
Okay.
I love men. I don't find any fault in what they do, but I pick really poor relationships. And after my daughter's father left me to raise her, I gave up on relationships. So, and I feel like I pick men like my father. I know I do. I know. They just leave. They come when they want to. I'm not important to them, I feel like.
But you know why you do that, right? Because I've heard psychologists talk about this ad nauseum. The reason we pick our parents, basically, because until we heal that part of ourselves, is because to us, that's normal behavior. That's what you knew. The man you love the most is your dad when you're a little girl, and that's how he treated you. So that's your impression of how a man is to treat you. So you take it. Do you know? You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of women would be like, "Screw that," and Whereas for you, that's normal behavior. So you either accept it when it happens, but also you probably subconsciously draw it in because we bring to us what is familiar, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I agree with the idea that you probably need to heal that part of you, the little girl part of you that's pissed off. So you can get past this part of your life and stop attracting what you don't want and start, put the anger away. And because as long as you're angry, you're not going to attract a lovely gentleman when you're a pissed off bitch, right? Do you know what I mean?
Right. The guys will tell me, you look like you're so unapproachable.
Yeah. You see, and they're telling you that, like, something about your energy is conveying that you're pissed off and you're pissed off at men. And so you're not going to attract a lovely gentleman who's going to be caring and stick around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm glad you're very self-aware. I mean, you're extremely, I'm telling you, I think you're like a rock star. You're very self-aware. You know exactly what's going on. You're aware that you're self-sabotaging. Mm-hmm. I think, usually when I see self-sabotage, and in my career working with clients, when I see a lot of self-sabotage, usually I see it in the form of obesity. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've worked with very, 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 like, close to 550-pound people where it's really serious. It's on the verge of, like, their lives are at stake.
Yeah.
It's because they don't value themselves. We only abuse things we don't value. So I think if you're sabotaging yourself, I think what's happened, my analysis of it feels like in the stages of grief, you've gotten stuck in anger and depression. Part of you is pissed off that everybody died. I mean, you're depressed about it, but you're also kind of pissed off, right? Because why is this happening to you? Why you?
Right. Yeah.
So you're stuck in anger and depression. And what happens is, I think when you get stuck in those emotions, eventually you turn them on yourself. Like, you're pissed at yourself I think you're also pissed at yourself. You're like, what did I do? Like, look at me. I've gained 33 pounds. I drink like a fish. I eat like a pig. I'm a fraud. I'm a yoga instructor. And look at how I'm acting. Like, you're mad at yourself.
Yeah.
So talk about your anger at yourself.
I'm just disappointed and mad that I just can't shut myself off and do the right thing for myself, but I can teach other people how to do it. But for something in my brain just won't switch over and go. I don't understand why. I don't understand. So the frustration, the anger comes from that. Like, I want to be this example that helps people. And I feel like I said, I'm a fraud. That I don't know. I'm angry for choosing the wrong people in my life. I'm angry that I raised my children by myself. I'm angry that I give so much of myself that I give my dreams up and what I want. I always think about what other people want and what makes them happy, and will they be angry with me? I don't want anyone angry at me ever. I hate people not to like me. Mm-hmm. So it's all these things, and then I'm alone. And then I build this shell up, this wall, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm used to being alone, so everyone just leave me alone. I got this, Mm-hmm. Like, the other day, this girl I trained, I've helped her lose 115 pounds.
Wow.
She was amazing. She's like, you're my rock star, you're my warrior. She always says to me. I just feel like, I'm failing her. She actually weighs less than me. Okay. I feel like I'm failing. How could I be this, I don't know. When I go train her, I get almost grumpy, and she tried to help me, but I go, don't help me. I was like, and she goes, why don't you let people help you anymore? I go, I don't want to help. Like, I don't know what that is.
Well, I agree with you. You've built up a wall, and the thing about walls is we put walls up to protect us from getting hurt by more pain.
Yes.
But then what happens is we wall off any goodness that could come in. Like it's lonely behind a wall.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do you understand? So the wall that you put up to protect you has become, in fact, your own prison.
Yes. It is.
Right?
I'm like in this box. I feel like that's funny you said that because I'm a school teacher and I don't belong there. I belong in an art studio or in a fitness center or working out, at training people. I know where my passion is. So I'm in the school and I feel like a caged animal teaching. And I feel like I'm not being true to who I am, but I know it's a good income. I have the summers off. I can be with my children, so I keep weighing I don't know. I don't know.
Can I tell you a story, Dakin? Because this is another place where we're very similar. My bachelor's degree is in education. I'm a teacher. And when you're a junior in college, as you know, they send you out, you do your first student teaching, and then you do it again when you're senior year. I will never forget junior year of college. So they put me in a classroom. I remember by spring break going home and telling my mother, I am so miserable. I hate this. I feel like I'm in a cage. I cannot do this. And I decided then, my mother said to me, she said, Tara, look, you're a junior. It's spring of your junior year. Why don't you just finish it? Even though you say you hate it, why don't you finish it? Finish your degree. You're graduating in a year. Then you can go do whatever you want to do. You can go get a graduate degree. You can go do anything you want to do. So I took her advice, but that was exactly, and teaching is a wonderful profession, and God bless teachers because we need teachers who are good to shape, the minds of all these kids. But for me, I wanted to teach and I like to teach, but I'd rather teach on the radio or I'd rather teach, I like teaching. I just, the four walls of the classroom, just like you, I felt like a caged animal. Yep.
Like, Tara, I was at PE for 11 years. So I taught PE for 11 years, which gives you more freedom.
Yeah.
So, and PE teachers are a little more like, yeah, whatever, just do this. And then I got in the classroom because I couldn't deal with the heat when I moved back here.
Okay.
And that's why I became an art teacher. And need freedom. I need to express myself. I need to rules are good. But I have a hard time with rules. Well, I want to be free.
Now, let me ask you this. I know you're self-sabotaging, but are you doing anything to move the needle in the direction? Because you very clearly told me what your ultimate goal is. You said, I would love to get me back, move back to Buffalo, and open a yoga paint therapy studio to help people like me who are suffering. Are you doing anything in your life to move the needle toward that? Or are you just wallowing in self-sabotage and basically self-pity? Because you know what? Part of self-sabotage, I'm going to play hardball with you here. Because I've dealt with people who sabotage themselves. I'm thinking of one client in my mind right now who weighs close to 500 pounds. Part of self-sabotage is self-pity and a learned helplessness. You've taught yourself, you've decided somewhere in the back of your awesome, very strong brain, you've convinced yourself that you're helpless, that you're stuck, and that this is just how you're going to feel. And because you've kind of given up and that's not who you are, then it pisses you off. Then you're pissed at yourself because then you don't recognize yourself. Like, who am I? Who is this person? I've gained 33 pounds. I have no spring in my step. I don't pursue my dreams. I sit around and drink and I eat all day. That pisses you off because you know that's not who you are.
It isn't. No.
So what are you doing to move the needle toward the dream that you delineated for me?
Well, I've been listening to a lot of your podcasts and mindfulness. I was challenging your thoughts, stop sabotaging yourself. Yeah. So I've been listening to what your people you have, your guests that you have, and I've been taking notes. So the one gentleman, I think his name was Daniel. He was saying to
Daniel Gutierrez.
Write down, if I could do anything without failing, what would it be? And I write it every day. I try to write what I want to do and what makes me happy and what brings me joy. I do stick to that. I have like a journal I keep separately now, and I'm writing notes for that. And then I'm gonna sign up for a race. Even if I walk it, I love being in races. I love the positivity of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like a rock star. Like I feel like I did it. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to do triathlons. I used to do everything, and now I'm like, you know, like, oh gosh, I gotta get me back. Like I keep saying. So I've been like, I just was talking to my friend. I'm gonna sign up for a race this month. I'm gonna do one a month again, like I used to.
And you've got to see. I like the idea. You're going to have to take small steps back. You just have to take action. The way back to you, you keep saying, I want to get me back. You said that at least 4 times in the email. The way back to you is action, because you can talk about it, you can think about it, you can go to therapist after therapist, you can drink, you can eat, you can do whatever you want. The only thing that's ever going to move the needle in your life is action. And what I find is we're always in a momentum. You're always either in a forward momentum or a backward momentum. And inertia is real. The more you sit around and do nothing and wallow in self-pity, the more you're going to sit around and do nothing and wallow in self-pity. What you have to do is you have to say to yourself, you know what? I don't feel like doing this. I'm pissed at myself. I hate my life. I feel fat. I feel like a fraud, and I don't feel like doing anything today, but enjoying a bottle of, whatever you drink and sitting around and eating. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my shoes and I'm going to go do XYZ, because once we make a plan, and I'm going to help you make a plan today, you have to have a plan, a physical plan. And the end goal is to move back to Buffalo, open a yoga paint therapy studio, and help other people like you who are suffering. And what's going to happen is you have 2 years to enact this plan, because your girl has about 2 years of high school left, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So this is perfect, because to do a plan like that, like a real plan like that, you don't move to Buffalo and open a studio next Tuesday. This is something you're going to have to plan physically, mentally, financially, logistically. Like this will occupy, and this is something you should get excited about, because when you have a goal and you can actually see the goal coming to fruition because you're taking steps toward it, you're not going to need to drink yourself silly anymore, because right now you're drinking yourself into a stupor because your life has absolutely no meaning whatsoever.
You just hit the nail on the head. It's true.
Yeah.
It's just, yes, you're right. I used to run races and go without drinking. Like I knew I prepped for my races, would never drink. Never. I had no problem without drinking, Yeah, they that's it exactly.
Yeah. When your life has no meaning.
I just feel like I'm
well, and also you don't value your body. You have no value for your body whatsoever, because here's the thing. You think of yourself as a sloppy, broken down jalopy, not a sleek jaguar. Do you know what I mean? If you give somebody a beautiful Jaguar XJ6 British racing green with tan interior, not that I think about it. If you give somebody a car like that, they're going to treasure it. They're going to take care of it. They're going to buff it every morning and every evening. They're going to treat it like gold because it's a sleek sports car and it's a treasure. But if you give somebody an old broken down jalopy, they're going to scrape it on the side. They're not going to take care of it. They're going to spill food and drink in it because they don't care about it. You've got to start regarding your body as a beautiful prize, because you don't even like your body right now, because if you liked it, you wouldn't take care of it the way you are.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So let's start talking about a plan. Now, you said that you're titrating off of the antidepressants.
Yes. Every other day instead of every day.
Okay. And you're doing that with medical supervision, correct?
Yeah, my next doctor, I'm taking CBD oil in between the days I don't take the antidepressant.
Okay, great.
So that'll help with the inflammation too, in my joints and stuff. I'm really, 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 my body's like locking up on me. Okay,
so listen to me. Okay, so I did a show that I don't remember the episode number, but it was called CBD oil. It was called cannabidiol oil, the benefits and controversy, with Dr. Patricia Pimentel-Selassie. If you go to tamamarie.com, which is my website, all of the episodes we've done are posted there. The one about cannabidiol oil, which is CBD oil, that may benefit you to listen to that entire episode, because I've started CBD oil too. The other thing is your body will not feel so riddled with pain once you clean up your diet. When you're on a highly inflammatory diet with junk food and alcohol, every ache and pain is 100 times worse.
Yeah.
So you need to get all the shit. Oops, I said a bad word. Kids, do not cuss. It's not nice. I have to say that. No, because families, listen, children, do not do what Titi Tara does. That's not good. But listen, when you have to get all the sugar out of your diet. You have to get all the junk out of your diet. You have to get all the processed crap out of your diet. You've got to get all the alcohol out of your diet, because that is contributing to your depression. If you want to make yourself depressed quickly, eat a high sugar diet with a lot of processed food and wash it down with a lot of alcohol. That'll get you into a depression real quick. So stop all that. Do you understand? I need you to stop that.
Yeah. I actually wrote in my notes the other day, alcohol equals depression.
It does.
And I say, put below, if I don't drink, I don't have to take antidepressants. I mean, I logically know that.
Right.
Like, so there we go.
Yeah. So you need to, and see, what we're going to have to do is, right now you're pissed at yourself. Basically, I get it. You're pissed at yourself because you've let your life go down the toilet, you feel.
Yeah.
But the truth is, your life didn't go down the toilet. You've had a blip on the radar. This went over the course of a lifetime. A 6 year period is like a blip on the radar. So it's not been a good time. Things have not gone exactly precisely as you would have liked. But let's be gentle with you. You lost 6 important people, a beautiful, beloved pet that was probably like a child to you, and you left the state that you love. So in your defense, you did all this to cope. They were not great coping skills, but you did it to cope. But now let's figure out a new way to cope, because we're on a new path now. Deal?
Okay. Deal.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
So all the alcohol goes now. All the sugar goes now. All the junk food goes now. Caffeine, I don't mind if you have caffeine. I mean, to be honest with you, you know what I would do if I were you? I drink organic decaf, Swiss water organic decaf coffee, but the only caffeine I have is oolong tea. Oolong. Oolong tea actually boosts metabolism. It gives just a little bit of caffeine, and it also helps burn body fat. So if I were you, if you're going to drink anything, drink a lot of good filtered water. You could squeeze some lemon in it, to get your liver flowing.
Yeah.
But drink oolong tea. You can drink green tea. So start taking care of your body. And what'll happen is you'll start to feel better in your body and about your body when you shed about 15 of those 33 pounds, because you'll start to resemble who you used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I got to be straight with you. If I gained 33 pounds, I don't feel like I'd look like myself anymore. So I feel like it would be almost like an out-of-body experience, like I wouldn't recognize me. Do you know what I mean? Hello?
Yeah.
Like you look at you look at yourself and you go, who is this?
Yeah.
Right? So let's get 15 pounds off quickly.
Yeah, I do.
What
time? Yeah.
You can do this pretty quickly. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So
I don't drink. I'll tell you, I'm admitting this. I don't drink coffee in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I drink it around 3:00 with to give me like a treat. Like I drink it as a treat. It's not like something I need to get me going. I don't even need caffeine. I didn't even drink coffee until, oh gosh, I was 33. And then I started, like, this coach was like, here, come have this coffee with me. So I never drank caffeine. I know I can do without it. I don't need it.
Okay. If you do need it though, oolong tea is excellent.
Okay.
I get a lot.
I'm gonna go get some of that too though.
Oolong.
I love tea.
Yeah, oolong tea.
Okay.
What I want to do, I strongly believe that you should work with a grief counselor. In my old building where I used to live, there was a therapist, and all she did was grief counseling. She only worked with people who were in grief, and so it's a specialty. And you may think that you're past the loss of all the people who died, and again, 6 important people, including your parents and your grandmother, to whom you were very close. I think you need grief counseling because I believe you're stuck in grief. And when you get stuck there, when you get stuck emotionally, your whole life gets stuck. You can't move forward in your life until you get past this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So could you please consider finding and working with a grief counselor?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll actually look one up tomorrow because I'm tired of wasting my time. Honestly, I need to find something that's gonna help me. I just keep going to counselors and leaving, going, that didn't work. Because I haven't tried a grief counselor yet. Someone else told me to do that too about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I will look up one tomorrow.
You need a grief counselor because you're grieving the loss of all these people, and you know what else you're grieving? You're grieving who you thought you were going to turn out to be.
Yes. Yes.
You know. And the thing is what I want for you is, what day is today? This is March. We're in March right now. By the time, 26th. By the time you turn the corner and hit your birthday, your 50th birthday, I want you to feel well underway in our plan here. I want you to have some weight off. I want you to feel physically more like yourself. I want you to feel like you're really starting to check things off your list as you move the needle in the direction of where you want to go.
Okay.
That's how I want you to feel, because a lot of this grief, again, I think you're grieving what you thought life was going to be, and it just didn't pan out that way.
Yeah. None of my life is how I thought it was. Yes. Right. You're right. You're right.
Well, to be fair, my life didn't pan out the way I thought it would, but it's panned out wonderfully. I think what you have to do is, it doesn't matter what your dream for your life was when you were 18 and 20 and 25. What matters is that you're happy now, and that we take whatever circumstance we have right now and we make it work for you, because we can't control who dies. I mean, we can't control that, but what we can control is now, what do we do? What are we going to do right now? Now that everybody's gone and you're left to pick up the pieces, what are we going to do now?
Okay.
That doesn't include drinking and sitting around the house eating.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So I want you to get a plan in place. And again, if your ultimate goal is to move back to Buffalo, open a yoga paint therapy studio, help other people like you who are suffering, let's start with the priority number one. Let's make your first priority your mental and physical health.
Okay.
Okay. Because I think we can both agree, ain't nobody going to move to Buffalo, open no yoga paint studio, help nobody else if you're a mess. You can't do that. You can't give to somebody what you don't have, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
I agree.
So our number one plan is going to be mental and physical health.
Okay.
And the way we're going to do mental and physical health is I would like to see you work with a grief counselor. Mm-hmm. I would like you to get back in touch with the doctor who is monitoring the tumor in your head.
Okay.
Because God forbid, we don't want that to now become we don't want to see if that's gone out of control. So let's get that in check.
Okay.
You're going to clean up your diet because, as you so eloquently stated at the top, if you eat poorly long enough, you're going to start to get symptoms of MS again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
God forbid.
I will tell you, at home, I eat clean, green. I have my purifier. I take all my vitamins, my Shaklee vitamins. I have this regimen that I still follow since the day I got sick with MS. And I think that's what's keeping me alive longer, because all the stuff I've been doing in my body, it's the alcohol. What I do is when I drink alcohol, I eat, but even if I have organic chips, I still eat chips,
Mm-hmm.
or if so I kind of, I guess you could call it binge. Like I eat a little of this and I eat a little of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not all toxic food, but sometimes it is. Sometimes I'll just get my daughters some chips and I'll eat those.
But remember, an inflammatory diet will increase your physical pain. And you said that you're in physical pain. Chips are part of an inflammatory diet. What you really need to be eating, you need to. I don't eat. What I eat is not very exciting, but it's very anti-inflammatory. It's animal protein, nuts and seeds, lots of green vegetables, lots of other vegetables. I try to keep my sugars low. Like if I eat carrots, I only eat 6 ounces of organic carrots at a time. If I eat, beets, I only eat, 8 or 9 ounces at a time. So I monitor sugar, even in the form of, carrots and beets, any kind of sugar, whether it's fruit, carrots, beets, chips, anything. Sugar is inflammatory. So you want to keep your sugars low. And you keep your sugars low. You want to keep protein high. You want to give yourself plenty of fat. Fat is very healing for your brain, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And also fat, a nice, healthy, high-fat diet, a diet high in healthy fats is good for depression.
Okay.
Okay. If you eat a really, really low-fat diet, you can easily slink away into depression because the brain is primarily made of fat, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So if you clean up your environment and you clean up your diet, we take off some weight, we take off some of these, we, diminish some of these aches and pains, which some of the aches and pains may be just from lugging around an extra 33 pounds.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, seriously, like that's like giving me a backpack with 10-pound dumbbells in it. I would start to get aches and pains, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. And what you're going to do is I need you to start seeing the future that you said it to me. You solved your own problem in this email. You want to get yourself back, and we're going to do that. Mental and physical health. You want to, and also here's another thing I want you to do. Stop being a people pleaser. People pleasing comes from, but you know why you people please? Because you want people to like you. Who cares what people think? Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if people don't like you. It doesn't affect your life at all. It really doesn't. I assure you.
I still like people mad at me. Isn't that weird?
Who cares? But who cares? Okay, here's the thing. I could present you with a spreadsheet full of people who are mad at me, and my life still goes on. Do you understand? It doesn't affect my life at all. Not one single bit. Right. Okay. And that's the beauty of turning 50. When by the time you're 50, you're like, oh, God, I'm so busy. You don't have time to worry about that. If people are mad at you because of a decision you make that's good for you, they're thinking of themselves, not you. This is the time of your life to put you first. You've never put you first before, and your life is in the crapper. So we're going to put you first.
Okay.
And you're gonna do, and that doesn't mean to be rude to people or inconsiderate of other people or to break promises that isn't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is go about your life doing what's good for you in your life. My favorite word is no. I say it often, and I say no all the time because people ask me to do a lot of things and I don't have time. If I did everything everybody wanted me to do, I would have no time for myself. And then I would be pissed.
And that's where my life is. I do everything for everyone else to please everyone else, and I have no time for me. Right. So my life, like I'm not important, but I am important.
Right. Stop doing that. Yeah. Stop doing that. Okay. And this is another thing that my mother always said to me. She's not the one who said it. I mean, I think Anne Lamott is, no is a complete sentence. If someone asks you to do something, hey, Dakin, tomorrow afternoon, can you drive me to do errands? Blah, 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 blah. No.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
And because they're going to expect you to give a whole explanation, just say no. And then they go, what do you mean no? I need you to drive me. Come on. Can't you just drive me? It's going to only take 25 minutes. I totally understand that, but no.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you mean? It's only going to take, who are you? You don't even do anything for a friend. I would love to help you, but no, I can't.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say no more.
That's it. Sorry. No, just no. Because again, if you want to get you back, this has to be about you. We have to focus on you.
Okay.
Which means stop giving yourself away to everybody else until we get your situation under control. When your situation is under control, your health is intact, mentally, physically. You've got everything just cool, where you don't have to drink yourself to numb the pain. You don't have to eat yourself to death to numb the pain. You don't have to take chemical antidepressants. You don't have you'll know when you're ready to start giving of yourself. And when you give of yourself in manageable doses. But again, your favorite word is no.
Okay. Yeah.
Because again, you'll learn once enough people are mad at you and you realize that your life still goes on, you'll realize it's not that big of a deal.
You're right.
And they'll get over it.
Okay.
The other thing I want to do is I want this idea, your goal, what you said, moving back to Buffalo and opening the yoga and paint therapy studio. I need you to start seeing that. I need you to see it. You know Buffalo. I need you to start saying, where in town would I like this to be? Where could I buy?
I know exactly where I want to be.
Perfect.
I know exactly where. I know the neighborhood, the storefront, everything. I know.
Is there I know it's premature to buy anything, but like is there a space there that you think that when you're ready to to do
Um,
something?
I don't. There's a man who owns most of the property where I want to open something, so I'd have to rent probably to do
Right,
that.
right. But
Yeah.
is there a space to rent?
Yes. Well, the shops on this it's Hurdle Avenue. The shops on Hurdle Avenue open and close pretty much every other year.
Okay.
So there's going to be a time where there will be something open.
Okay. So this is what you need to start doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm old school because I'm old, but what I like to do, like when I'm writing things down like goals, I like to take a blank notebook. I sound exactly like you, and I like to write with pen and hand by hand, because if I type, it doesn't go into my brain. If I put it on my iPhone, it doesn't go into my brain. I like something about something going from my brain through my arm onto the page. It solidifies it.
That's me. That's so funny. I cannot. That's me too. I cannot do it any other way.
It's because we're the same age. I think it's because we're the same age. Because back when you and I were growing up, back when I mean, you know how life. But so I want you to start doing that, and I want you to see this in detail. So you're going to move back to Buffalo. So your little girl's going to graduate from high school, and you're gonna have to have it planned out in advance. Maybe you even get excited. Maybe occasionally, you go up to Buffalo and you start scouting areas and you start visualizing it. I need you to see it. See people going in and out. What would the storefront be? What would it be called? What does it look like in there? How many people can you fit in a room? Like, everything needs to be so detailed, and you need to see it and start getting excited about it, because when we start living as if the dream is already underway, things start moving. We start acting differently. You're going to act differently when you've got this dream underway.
Yeah.
Again,
I actually have been sketching it, and I got what I have for my notes is a sketchbook, and because I'm an artist, obviously, and I've been sketching the studio.
Beautiful.
So funny. Yeah.
What's the name of the studio going to be?
I want to call it flow and brush and flow, or something. Like, I want to use flow for yoga, and then the stroke, so I want to call it paint and flow, or brush and flow. Nothing's really jumped out at me, but I want to call it. So you know what you do when I have to doodle, when I have to think of names for stuff, just free write, just write what, and no matter how stupid it sounds, just write it down, and something will come out of you that's just right. And then what I want you to do is I want you to start sketching what the logo might look like. And then what you might want to do, once you decide the name, what you might want to do is call a trademark attorney, a patent attorney, and lock in the name, legally lock down the name. Because won't you be pissed 2 years from now when you go to do that and the name's taken? So you know what I mean. So once you decide on the name, you call yourself a patent attorney, and you lock down that name. And then you start sketching business, logo ideas, and you start making it so real. Rich, should I tell her the story, SiriusXM? Should I tell her? Yeah. Okay. I told my director sitting here, and he's my friend and my director. We work together a lot. And I told him a story the other day, and he liked it, right? He liked it. And I told him I wanted to tell you, and I think it's appropriate to tell you now. So I'm like you. Like, I see things when I want something. I want it so bad I can taste it in my mouth. Like it's coming out of my pores. I want something so bad. Aren't you like that, Dakin? Yes, I am. Yes.
Yeah. So when I was back in 2013, I was doing this show, Tara Marie Live, on an internet radio network. And it was lovely, and I was glad to be there. It was invitation only. It was very nice. But I got this idea in my mind. I thought, I can do this. I want to move my show to SiriusXM. That was just what I wanted to do. And I called the only person I could think of, and he's a broadcast agent. And he said, I really don't have a lot of contacts in radio, blah, 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 blah. So he couldn't help me. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out a way to make this happen. And I remember I took my show logo, and underneath it, I put Tara Marie Live debuts on SiriusXM fall of 2014. And I put that up on a bulletin board that is to the left of my desk. So it's in the corner of my eye all day. Every day when I walked to my desk, I would see it. It was just right there it was, so the image was there,
Mm-hmm.
and every day I read Tara Marie Live debuts on Sirius XM fall 2014. So I have no idea how I'm going to make this happen, because the only contact I could think of, this broadcast agent, said he really wasn't, in the radio biz. But it didn't deter me at all. I just decided this was what I was going to do. I was going to figure out a way, and I was just going to meet the right people. Something was going to happen, and this is what I was going to do. And I started telling people, I started believing it, because I wanted it so badly that I believed it could happen. And I would go around telling people, like just in casual conversation at the gym, or, you meet people casually. What do you do? I would tell them, I'd say, oh, well, I have this show, and right now it's on internet radio, but it's going to be launching on Sirius XM. And I would tell them that as though I already had something underway, but I didn't. There was no movement. I was just saying the story because that was what I wanted to happen. And again, I just kept going and going. Anybody who would ask, lady at the grocery store, how are you? I'm fine. Guess what? And I would tell anybody who asked, and I would say it. I said it so much, and I convinced myself of it, and I acted like I had a contract in progress. And it wasn't because I was being egomaniacal. I wasn't like an egomaniac. I was just delusional. Do you know? Like I literally said it so much that I started to believe that it was going to happen. And I kept saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it and reading it on my bulletin board and saying it and saying it. And a lot of people, like people in my family, they thought I was nuts because they knew that there was nothing underway. In July of 2014, I think it was mid-July of 2014, I got a phone call. A man I had met on a Long Island Railroad train on January 7th, 2011, called me up, and he said, "Hi, Tara, it's Michael, blah, blah, blah. I'm starting a new channel on Sirius XM this fall. And, I know you've been staying in touch with me. I'm impressed with your work. I'd like you to be my premiere show, my premiere host, premiere show."
Mm-hmm.
Bam. Fall of 2014, we debuted.
That's awesome.
The moral of the story is, and I said to my director, I said, "Rich, I think God just felt sorry for me, because, I was telling all these people, he felt sorry for me. Like I talked it to death." And Rich said to me, he said, "No, you talked it to life." Kerching. That was what. So the moral of the story is, if you get an idea in your head and you believe it with such certainty, and you start planning for it, and you start living it, and you start doing as though it already exists, the world will move for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That is why I want you to get this idea so solidified in your brain that you can see it. You see what does it smell like when you open the door in the morning to walk into the studio? What are the sounds of the studio? What is the lighting like? What are the clients like? I want you to see everything about it, and I want you to start talking about it. Tell everybody about it. That in 2 years' time, my daughter's going to graduate. I'm going to move back to Buffalo. I'm opening up this yoga studio, and it's also going to be a paint studio. This is the name of it. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Start putting things in motion. Put it in motion. And I'm very serious about, when you get the name, calling the patent attorney and locking down the name.
Okay, I wrote that down.
Yeah, because I would be really upset for you if 2 years from now the name was taken. If okay. So I want start talking about it. Talk about it now. Tell the lady at the grocery store. Tell your friends. Tell your daughter. Tell everybody. Get excited about it, because it's going to happen. The only thing that will keep it from happening is you. Right?
Is me. Yeah, that's what I was going to say to you. I get scared, and I don't think it can happen, and then I back out. I don't want to do that.
What are you scared of?
I don't know why I get scared, but I don't know. I don't know. It failing and me not. I don't know what I'm afraid of, actually.
You're probably afraid of failing, afraid of making a fool of yourself, afraid of telling everybody and their sister that you're going to do this, and then you don't. But again, if you do fail, so what? So what would happen if you failed? Who cares?
Yes. That's my thing. Okay, am I going to be able to leave my son in Florida, who's a grown man? Am I going to be able to leave my daughter? And, I have all these things in my head and I overthink things too
Your
much. And then
son,
I decide, oh, these ways to not do it, you know?
but by now, isn't your son, by then, won't your son be like a 27, 28-year-old man?
Yeah, yes,
Right.
he will
So
be.
so eventually he's going to marry and he's going to be leaving you, right? So you can't stick
He already
around.
has.
Yeah.
That's another loss. I've lost him too. He's with someone and we don't really see each other much anymore. And he just had a baby. And
Right.
yeah, he's separated me from him also. So that's another loss. So yeah, my son is, I don't know. I just don't know. Yeah, I will do it. I think too much, Tara. I really do.
And
I
your
just need to do.
Dakin, your daughter, what if your daughter decided to go to college up in Buffalo or go to NYU or go to, I
Well,
don't
my
know.
daughter, yeah, she wants to go away, and she wants me to go back to Buffalo. You know, she's like, "Go to Buffalo, Ma. You love it there." We already made that plan, and yeah, I just don't. When push comes to shove, me leaving her is gonna be hard, but it has to happen because she's going to college. She wants to be a meteorologist. She's going out with her life. You know.
Yeah, you're not
So
leaving her. She's leaving. Well,
is Buffalo.
She's leaving you. She's going to school. She's going to school, so she's going to leave you.
True.
So again, you're not leaving your son. You're not leaving your daughter because she's out of unless she's going to Tampa U, University of Tampa, where my parents went, or University of South Florida, or Gainesville, or unless she stays down there. Regardless, she's leaving you. She's not going to go to college and live at home, is she?
No, I don't think so. No, she wants to go and explore and see the world. She doesn't want to be.
Right.
Yeah, she's not staying here.
So if your only excuse is fear, I don't think that's a good excuse.
Okay.
To me, that's one of those excuses. If your only excuse is fear, that's one of those excuses where when you're lying on your deathbed and you look back and you review your life and you realize that there were all these things and you didn't pursue your greatest dream of all because of fear, you're going to be kicking yourself.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
And life.
I'm not afraid. But the funny thing is, I take the bull by its horn. I don't I'm not afraid to do anything. But I don't know. I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing, and because I felt like I've done the stupidest mistakes in the past, and I don't want to make those mistakes again.
Okay, but here's the thing: we don't know how something's going to turn out until it turns out. And if you make a mistake, then you course correct. No, there's no successful journey that's just all straight towards success. It's more like a zigzagged line, right? I've never seen a journey that was a straight line. So expect to fail. If you expect to fail, you won't be shocked when you do. Expect problems because you're going to be wrought with problems, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to ultimately land on your goal. It just means that it's a journey and it's not a straight line. I want to leave you. I want to leave you with one more piece of advice. My director Rich said something to me last week. I loved this, so I copied and pasted it to tell you. So last week I went through a really stressful period, and I via email I was telling him all this stuff, and this is exactly what he said. I'm quoting. Do you mind that I'm saying this, Rich? He said, quote, "About a year ago, I decided everything's going to work out for me all the time. And when I receive an unexpected stress, I repeat that phrase again and again, and I let it work itself out." End quote. To me, that kind of says it all. A year ago, he just decided, you know what? I'm just going to assume everything's going to work out for me, and I'll do the best I can in the process. Do you know what I mean? Isn't that a nice attitude?
Yes, I like that.
So do you have any final questions? Because we're out of time, my love.
No, I don't have any questions. I just really want to say thank you for reaching out to me. It really means a lot. It really does. And maybe if you're in Florida, we could just say hello to each other.
Well, when I go to Florida, I must say no, I'm afraid, because when I go to Florida, my time belongs to my father, my 88-year-old father, and my baby niece, my little nieces and nephews. But I think I would like to close by saying this. I really believe, I think you're like a rock star. I think you've been through a lot. I think what you have to do to get past your anger at yourself is forgive yourself. It seems like you haven't forgiven yourself. You have to say, you know what? I forgive myself for all the mistakes I've made along this way, trying to get through this last 5 years. I forgive myself for the drinking and the eating and gaining weight and screwing up my life in the ways I perceive that I have, because I was doing the best I could under the circumstances of my life. And I think that if you look at the circumstances of your life, anybody listening would agree you have done a damn good job Don't you think, Rich? Like she's
Okay.
like, you're a rock star. You're a rock star. You're a rock star. And I believe you can have this yoga. I believe you're the type of person, you can have anything you want, but what scares me about you is you also, I fear that you could talk yourself out of it. That's how strong-willed you are.
I can.
So what I need you to do.
You're right, exactly.
I need you, when you have a thought that is self-destructive or pulls you away from this dream that you wrote out to me, I need you to exit out, go right back to the dream. You need to monitor your thoughts very carefully, very carefully. You can't just let automatic thoughts flow in and out of your head right now. You've got to be on top of your thoughts. When a thought goes in your head that's self-destructive, cancel it with an X and move on to replace it. Cancel, replace. Another thought comes in, cancel, replace, cancel, replace. That's what you have to do. You have to live with intention, and every intention you have has to be toward this dream, yeah?
Okay. Yes.
All right, my love?
It's time for change. Yes.
All right, my darling, we're out of time, but I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, darling. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye, sweetie. God bless you.
Bye.
Okay, you guys, it's time for the Tamari's tip. I just have a really quick tip. I was thinking last night, I was like, what do I want to say? Because it feels like this whole show's been one big Tamari's tip, right? But, I thought of this, and I want to say this because it's really the truth. Some of the best advice I ever got, and tell me if you agree with this, because I think this is great advice. Some of the best advice I ever got was simply to learn to accept loss. Because everything we have in the physical world is temporary. And we don't stop and think about that, right? But everything in this physical world, including us, is temporary. People die. Beloved pets die. Marriages sometimes come to an end, unfortunately. Dreams don't always work out the way we would want. Homes can burn down. You could lose a job that you love. You might lose function of your body or function of part of your body. Your looks are going to fade with age. You might lose possessions that you love. Absolutely everything you can see and touch, everything in your world is temporary. Every wonderful situation you're in today, at some point, is going to come to an end. So my attitude is when we learn to accept loss and the temporary nature of all of this stuff, it's actually easier to deal with it when we inevitably experience it, because we will, and it makes it much easier to be less petty about things that really don't matter. Again, remembering that all this is just temporary. Accepting loss helps us appreciate who and what we have in our lives now, knowing that nothing is forever. So cherish the people, cherish the things, cherish the situations that you love, because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, or in this case, take from you. But accept loss that comes your way just as part of the cycle of life. I know that what Dakin went through over the last 5 years is a lot piling on her at once. But the truth is all the people that she lost, all of us are going to lose. So let that be your idea that everything here is temporary. I'm going to enjoy it while I have it. I'm going to cherish it while I have it, cherish the people in my life, and gracefully accept loss when it comes my way. That is my Tara Marie's tip. That is all for our show today. If you're hearing this episode as a podcast and you want to watch the video, go to youtube.com/Tara Marie Live. Search for the video entitled Ask Tara Marie, From Trauma to Triumph. You can also access my YouTube channel on my website, taramarie.com. Please rate and review Tara Marie Live on iTunes. Be sure to subscribe to Tara Marie Live so you never miss an episode. You can subscribe using iTunes or whichever podcast app you use. Just search Tara Marie Live and hit subscribe. And by the way, you can find all episodes of Tara Marie Live on my website, taramarie.com. While you're there, please sign up for my mailing list, and you'll get my newsletter with Tara Marie's tips about fitness, motivation, health, etc. And I always send out information about the latest episode of the podcast, so you're always kept in the know. Connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at Tara Marie Live, and on Twitter at @TaraMarie_live. Make better choices today than you did yesterday, and you will always be moving in the right direction. Peace out, and God bless you.